Hello, everybody. Welcome to the to the Talkable Topics podcast. And my guest on the show today
This is Rahul Jinjapali. I'm a Shadow Creek student, and I stayed with him at once, so I got invited here.
And the main focus of this episode was going to be about the idea of masculinity. So, what do you think is a basis for masculinity?
I wouldn't say masculinity is heavily relied upon by strength, but also in this, I came up with an example from a book I read. It was called The Boxer. The main character, even though that he had a lot of numerous amount of strength in the ring or elsewhere, he was, like, in terms of physical capability, he was top, but in no way could you call him a masculine person, because strength is a requirement, but it doesn't make you, it's not the sole purpose. You still have it's kind of like the backbone. If you don't have it, you can't be masculine, but if you just have that, you're not able to, if you don't have it, you're not able to keep things on top of it. So as for the things that are supported by strength, that need strength, or kind of masculinity is the idea that you have the ability to back up your own values. At least that's in my perspective. That you're able to back up your values. So that's why if you just have strength, you have no values, then what are you defending with that strength? But if you only have values and you have no strength, then how can you defend your values? So
Are you talking about physical strength or mental strength?
see, strength comes in many different forms, because there could be let's take an example for maybe not Elon
Let's take
Musk.
an example from our lunch table. So what happened today whenever there was some type of argument with you and John?
No, that was a misunderstanding.
Okay.
He wasn't understanding what I was saying.
Okay, so let's say that John and I have a disagreement.
Mm-hmm.
What about us? What about our masculinity would win us the argument?
See, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Where if you just argue mindlessly and you just have firm belief in your own arguments, does that make you masculine? But like, let's just say there's a person who actually there's my friends asked me to use him as an example in this podcast, so I'm gonna just use him. Obviously, I'm not gonna say his real name, but I'm gonna call him the poor man, right? Poor man since no one knows his real name, I can be as transparent as possible. In terms of physical capability, that's like much below average.
What is his name? I might know.
I'm gonna call. I can't reveal his name,
Okay.
but I'm just calling him Poor Man. I remember Poor Man. That's what I'm gonna call him. But in terms of physical capabilities, he's below average. In terms of mental capabilities, he's below average. Dang. But he still has values, right? I mean, most people do, right? But you can't exactly call him a masculine person. Well, just because you have belief in your own values doesn't make you a masculine person. I think in essence, the thing that makes you masculine is, one, obviously, you have to believe in your own values, right? So a lot of people have that component. Most people do. But it's just that you have to, yes, here's the thing. So values, in my belief, your values are typically represented by your life, right? So if you have shitty values, or when I mean values, I mean priorities. If you have shitty priorities, or if you have low priorities, or you're not focused onto your priorities, then then your life overall is going to be in the gutters, right? But if you have, no matter how physically strong you are, or mentally strong you are, if you have high value, or not high, if you have a high,
sorry to cut you off. To you, what is a S word E value? What is a bad value to have?
a bad value, let's see, not desiring improvement. So if you're it's not so much that you're content with where you are, but it's that you don't desire more, because desiring more is what makes us human. It's like, even in religious texts, it's believed that greed is a bad thing, right? And for the most part, I do agree. But just because you aspire to be more doesn't mean you're greedy. That just means you're.
I think the idea of greed is that you're desiring not to be more, but to have more. It's a possession.
Yes, I think so. A lower rank value would, based on that question, would be not willing or not wanting to live out your full potential, or being satisfied with only using a sub percentage of your potential. That's a lower rank value. As for in a higher rank value, I guess it would be I guess it would be a polar opposite of that, where you try and
You just strive.
you strive
for
to
greatness.
yeah, I guess you could say that. But keynote here is that just because you strive, unless you take action, striving doesn't mean much.
Oh, that's a good little quote right there.
Yes.
Striving doesn't mean anything if you don't take action. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So bringing it back to was the question, it was values. So if your values have nothing to show for them, right? If your values, you can have as much belief in your own values as much as you want, but what you have to show is the real indicator of how true, or how, I don't want to say how valid, but how,
I mean, valid is a pretty valid thing to say.
how significant your values are. Because if, in the case of, because a lot of people have strong belief in their own values, but not a lot of people have the results to back up their own values. So
What do you mean?
if you take if you take advice, okay, so say let's just take a subcategory of values. Let's call that money. In money, like, we're talking about like financial aspects here. There's a businessman and there's a homeless person, right? There's also the case of credibility. The homeless person's value in, or beliefs in financial aspects, are worth very little compared to the rich businessman, not because they both believe in the values in differing rates, or that they both possess different levels of intellect or physical capability, but because the businessman values brought him to a higher financial point, while the homeless man's values have brought him to that point. Well, obviously exceptions don't make the rules, but that's typically the rule. Like, the exception would be, say, the homeless man, he was a billionaire once and then he went bankrupt. Then obviously, right, you might want to, you still want to take his advice, but obviously you have to factor in.
I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't take his advice. If he went from a billionaire straight to the homeless person, I would look at what he spent all that money on, and then I'd just be like, yeah, I'm not taking it.
I would try and figure out how he became a billionaire, and how he became a billionaire, and then how he lost it all. All you have to do is, I mean, in my perspective, obviously it's much more naive, much more not true, but you take the advice of how he got there. You notice what are all pitfalls or the lack of foundation, the lacks of foundation that
Like
cause
commitment.
not really. Like, let's just say you take on too much in business. Taking debts, taking student loans, or I mean, this is an example for people taking in today's society. Taking on debts is very common, right? So a businessman, he might be able to, he might take on a lot of debt in order to have the cash funds to to bring his company's valuation higher, right? But one sweep of the market, one loss of demand, one event that causes people to fear the businessman's product would just would completely collapse the revenue stream, and then the debt would take hold, and then it would thus cause bankruptcy. So so what I was thinking was, when I say on the rise to the top, right? You can have a strong foundation where let's just say you made it completely organically, you had no debt, you're debt free, and you have all of these, and you cultivated a strong customer base, so that even if there's a competitor coming around, or you have or demand is lost, you still have a loyal customer base that you can still sell to. That's a strong foundation in this case in business. But having a weak foundation is you take, kind of like you take if you were to put it in sports terms, it's like taking steroids. Your current value might increase, but you're not going to be able to sustain that for a long amount of time, and eventually your body is going to collapse on you, like the businessman's business collapsed on him. So even if someone makes what I was trying to say was that obviously the exceptions don't make the rules, and even if there are exceptions to every rule, so even if in this example, even if the businessman is even if the billionaire became the homeless person, you still might want to take his advice, but you might want to analyze. You need to start analyzing that, right? So yeah.
So, what would you, out of everything you said, what is the most important line? What do you think is like advice to give? Advice that you would have taken from all of that?
The advice that is most important is, no one knows if their values are true or not. In faith, in religious context, faith is, you don't know it's true, but you still believe in it, right? That's the case for most people's values.
You believe?
But no, the thing is, what's most important is that you know that your values are true, and the only way to know that is to act them. You have to take action on your own values, and if the world, or if your surroundings respond to that, then that's how you know definitively whether your own values are true or not. Because if you have solid proof that your values are true, then there's no force in the world that can sway your heart.
I like that. So what would you say are your values? Did I already ask that?
No, you didn't. My values. At least for me, I would like to believe, when it comes to improvement, the higher up I am, the slower I become. The way I would describe it is, the better I feel about myself, or because the better you feel about yourself, the more content you feel, and then your drive for improvement is pacified. If you look in the case of successes, there's a large majority of fighters, let's say, like professional fighters.
Oh,
Also,
MMA?
MMA, boxing,
Muay Thai.
BJJ, Muay Thai,
or whatever. Wrestling.
Bacau, Mike Tyson.
Baki tournament.
In all those cases, there's a very small percentage of fighters that actually came from a rich environment, and the case for that is because people who are born more down on the socioeconomic scale, it's not that they can only go up, because even the rich man, the billionaire, the trillionaire, he can still go up the same way, but it's more so that because they're so low relative to everyone else, and then they know that, and it's apparent in their everyday interactions, that it creates a drive, a lifelong drive. But for I guess for more privileged people like me, it's a little bit.
Is that why you play golf?
Yeah, I am a golfer. Not a good one, not yet, but I am a golfer. So, where was I?
Your values.
Yes, for more privileged people like me, even if I believe, but I might desire improvement, but my surroundings make me, whether I want to or not. Obviously, I try and surpass that, but my surroundings.
What are you trying to surpass?
I'm trying to surpass, because if I don't mean to. No, this is bragging. But I've considered myself. I would consider myself a above average intelligence person. I know that if I follow the traditional path, I'll do fine in life. I live in America. I would find a wife and kids. I would settle down. I would be fine. My life was set from the moment I was born. I would be perfectly fine. I'll be perfectly fine. I'll be perfectly fine with my life situation. My life path. The bottom line of my life is enough to make most people content. Now, so it makes it a little troubling to create a desire to go far beyond that. I guess it's like some people say that you're born with that fire, or you're born with that drive. I don't think that's true. I think it comes from your surroundings, because if your bottom line in your life trajectory is you're gonna end up dead, or you're gonna end up a criminal, or you're gonna end up in prison, or
everybody dies.
Okay, yeah.
What do you mean?
I meant murdered. Or something like that.
Anybody could get murdered.
Murdered, overdose, things like that.
I think you're trying to mean more like criminal or.
Okay, yeah, no. Anyway, regardless, what I'm trying to say is, if your bottom line is low enough, you're gonna do everything you can to try and avoid that, and the only thing you can, and the things you're doing to avoid that, will naturally make your life trajectory higher and higher and higher, right? So that's just it. My life trajectory is already like this. I have no velocity. I don't have the. I wasn't fortunate or unfortunate. I was born in a content civilization, in a content surroundings, which makes it hard. Not hard. That's making excuses for myself. It does make me content with my current capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was your original question?
Oh, my original question was, yes. What are your values?
Yes. So my values.
I feel like we've definitely strayed. We stray a lot.
Yeah. So what I aim for my values to be to for constant improvement, to be able to always improve on myself, but and to be aware that I'm nothing compared to the other successes in the world, because there are people who are my age who are from other parts of the country, not other countries, who have far less opportunities than I do, who are far stronger, far more intelligent, far more successes to their name. So in my perspective, my ideal values would be to always humble myself with the fact that there are always people, not always, but there are people who who are higher than me, and I will always be the lowest, because when you have that perspective that you're always kind of like that piece of shit, that stain, then I feel like you can always improve. The problem, obviously, my values are obviously not that. I'm too arrogant in that way. I believe in myself. I believe.
That's not a bad thing. Do you mean pride?
Yes, yeah, pride. I think that's a better way to say it.
Because it's a beautiful thing to be able to believe in yourself.
I pride on my current value too much. So yes, so that's my current value. That's a lower tier value for me, but nonetheless, those are my values.
That's cool. It's really cool. I would say my values are more trying to just don't judge me on this. My values are more on trying to be peaceful and to love everybody and to forgive everybody. More like finding peace in myself and living in the moment. You know what I mean? Living every second as if it were your last. Because you don't know when you're going to have your last second at all.
I feel like that's awfully generic. I feel like most. I don't mean that to offend you, but a lot of people believe that, like they want to live in the moment, but the more you live in the moment, the more your choices benefit your current self over your future self. Now, I'm not saying that it depends on. That's what separates the people who work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week on the business, just hounding, versus, I guess, normal people who start normal families, and who there's nothing wrong with being normal, but
I feel like normal is more of an illusion than it is a status. You're never going to be normal because you realize the amount of differences that everybody has. So what would you say really is normal? Sorry for cutting you off.
No, that makes me think a little bit, and I appreciate that. Being normal is, I don't wanna grab the lowest hanging fruit, but
I mean, if it's there, then you might as well grab it.
yeah, being normal, I mean, in essence, is your leaf in the winds of life. You can fall down, or you can reach a high place, but you have no control over your destiny, and that comes from not taking decisions to benefit your future trajectory or your future self. Because I believe that you have to have values beyond yourself. You have to have
A plan.
not a plan. You have to be able to believe in. That's also religious context. You have to believe in something higher than yourself. that can be God, that can be
Yeah, I believe in God
yeah,
and Jesus.
yeah. You either believe in God, or you can no, or you can just simultaneously believe in God. You can believe in a higher version of yourself, or things like that. But I guess what defines a normal person is that
It makes you think, because you're like, what is normal? Because you say like, oh, that's normal to a lot of things, but whenever you are building a normal person, you're just like, what is a normal person?
all normal people have aspirations. Everyone wishes to be great. So what?
Isn't that everybody?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone wishes to be great.
So is everybody normal?
No. But what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary? What everyone has that desire, right? Well, only a few people can turn that desire.
Drive.
You can turn that desire into something. You have the wood, but can you set it ablaze?
And I'm gonna put that in my quote book.
Okay.
I'll put that in my quote book.
Yeah. To expand on that, whenever I mean wood, I mean that refers to the things you have to sacrifice. Because in order to achieve greatness, or to be the extraordinary, you have to burn a couple of these things in order to ignite your light, or to become a star in a shadow in the night sky, right? So
Do you know Berserk?
I mean, I read 100 chapters or so, like many years ago.
Only 100 chapters.
Many years
I'm just
ago.
kidding. That's a lot of chapters.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
it's
Griffith.
more. It was a long time ago. I don't. Is this off?
No, it's still on.
Okay. It was a long time ago. I don't remember too much.
But yeah, what were you saying?
You mentioned Griffith.
Yeah. What do you think about the way that Griffith sacrifices everything to get his dream, his full 100% desire?
What's his desire?
His desire is to like have his own kingdom, and he sacrifices friends that he's known for like 10 years, or he's had this group of soldiers called the Band of the Hawk or whatever, and he just completely sacrifices them to get what he wants. Is that moral or is that immoral?
Obviously, it's not moral. Any sane person can tell you that. But this reminds me of now that you described it, that reminds me awfully like a book. Now I am a reader of that book. I'm still currently reading it. It was I think I told you about it before. Let's keep it on down low. I don't want people to know I read this. But
How was that one book?
Yeah. It was banned, right? It was banned because it had too many anti-authoritarian themes in the country it was created from. Now, the main character in that book, he, like Griffith, nothing he currently possessed everything he currently possessed, even his greatest assets, he was never a person who had a lot of family, friends, or allies or anything like that. But let's just say he sacrificed them too. But everything he had, even his greatest assets, his greatest powers, none of them were irreplaceable compared to his highest goal. Now, I can't tell you the highest goal because that would just reveal the book. But he was willing to sacrifice anything: family, clansmen, brothers, sisters, uncles, nephews, not daughters. He never had. I don't think he had kids. But he sacrificed everyone, everything, even his greatest assets that brought him closer to that goal, he sacrificed. He hasn't achieved his goal yet, but
Mm-hmm.
he sacrifices everything in order to get closer to that goal. Now, for the people who read the book, like maybe I don't completely fall into that category, but for the people who read that book, they don't admire him because they don't admire the main character because he's like this emo dude who who kills a lot of people, but they admire him because his ambition is so untainted. Is so untainted. It's like it's so pure. The way there's so obviously what Griffith does is immoral, but
Terrible.
terrible. But compared to this, but from the book, you're able to gain a perspective of the villains, which the main character, he is by all definitions a villain.
The book you're talking about, or Berserk?
Yeah. No, the book I'm talking about.
Okay.
But Griffith is also a villain, just like the main character from the book. So you start to understand that that there are people like that in the world who will sacrifice everything and everyone in order to achieve their goals. Now, is that wrong? I mean, I can't say for sure because your life is only withholden to you. You're the one who owns it. You get to decide what you want to do with it. If you negatively impact other people and other things upon your way, then that's a reflection of your own values.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea that if you hate somebody, then there's something about you that you hate about yourself. Have you ever heard about that?
No, can you expand on that?
So the idea of hate is that it comes from within you, just like how love comes from within you. And so the idea is that people that hate others, or they hate the world, or they hate their job, or they hate, school or something like this, it's that they hate something within themselves. Subconsciously or consciously, they hate themselves in an aspect, but because they won't address it, because they won't face it head on, and they keep dodging it or blaming it on other people, which i.e. is hating other people or hating school, that they don't realize it, and that hate comes from within. Do you understand what I mean?
No, I understand what you're saying. So, and I was talking about, what was I talking about?
Sorry, man, I live in the moment.
Okay, I think I was talking about how
Yeah.
values and the character and versus. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't say that, because if there's a
Hate, or
no, hate comes from within. Everything comes from within, but but I wouldn't say that just because you hate something means you hate yourself, because there could be in this case in the book, I might be revealing myself by saying this, but the main character has a brother, right? Now this brother is obviously hasn't been killed yet. He's the only one. These two brothers are the only people of their family left, right? So this brother, he absolutely abhors his brother. He hates him to the core.
Sorry to cut you off, but for the people that don't know what abhor means,
it means hate.
Okay.
It means to hate excessively, or to hate. So this brother, who absolutely abhors his villain of a brother, now just because this brother, he killed everybody, right? All this clansmen, all the people related to them. So how does that brother is humanly justified. It makes sense for a human to hate to hate his brother for that.
Societally.
Not societally, because
I mean,
because there's a philosophy. I read another book. I read a lot of books.
Yeah. I just mean societally, because not everybody is going to say it's right for him to, hate, or it's right for him to do that.
You're right.
And it's all about the psychology about other people. Like, I mean, speaking from real life experience, there's been people in my life that are still in my life that constantly, continuously do terrible things. And to say I hate them would be lying. And people would say like, "Oh, you're justified to hate them," but I'm just like, no, I'm not. Who am I to hate somebody? Who am I to hate somebody for what they have done?
That really puts it in a global perspective, because the way I think, because let's just say that the main character and his brother, maybe the family was a group of assassins or murderers, right? Then if that main character kills his entire family, then society will look at that like, hey, good on you, bro. Good on you. You killed all your serial killer
crazy family members.
Crazy family. Obviously, that wasn't in the book, but
yeah.
but so that really comes to show that you can't emotions really, whenever you look at everything from a global perspective, from a expanding perspective, you're able to understand that emotions they're so relative, so minute, so kind of irrelevant, because in terms of your true goal, or not people's true goals, but in the case of the main character, in terms of his goal, emotions, people, things, everything else, they just wash away into irrelevancy compared to the magnitude of his one goal. So that really, if you can't, so Griffith, right, was the magnitude of his, because obviously, if he betrayed all of his friends and people around him, and he became, let's say, omnipotent God, omnipotent God, then who can anyone really say what he did was the wrong decision? Obviously, it's immoral. It's
immoral based upon us.
Exactly, it's immoral based upon us. But for him, a lot of people may deny this, but there's only a handful of people among human society who wouldn't take that deal, who wouldn't betray who wouldn't betray all their friends, their families, to become immortal, to become a god. So that really puts it into perspective. Everyone is only out for themselves. It's just
unfortunately that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's just people. It's just the only reason why they still the amount of people who can truly selflessly devote themselves to others are few and far in between, because they're 99% of the human population would betray, would kill, would backstab anybody close to them if the rewards were high enough.
Yeah.
So who's to say that brother, that the main character was wrong to do what he did to his clanspeople? Because and then, like, the same thing, is Griffith wrong for what he did? Obviously I don't have a lot of information about Berserk, so all I know is that he betrayed, I'm assuming he killed a couple people.
A couple is kind of an understatement. He sacrificed.
Okay.
He sacrificed around, say, probably 50 or 70 people. But what's really cool about whenever he sacrificed was that he hesitated. This dream that he's been building ever since he was a little child to, like, I don't even know, probably like 25. So a little child to 25 had a dream of his own kingdom, willing to sacrifice everything. As he was in the middle of about to sacrifice, Guts, you know Guts? Guts.
The main character.
Yeah.
Okay.
He made him hesitate because the pure connection that him,
the friendship they had.
His first ever friend made him hesitate, but he still did it in the end. But what do you think? What do you think signifies a connection so great that you would be willing to put down your dream for that person? How do you make that type of connection, or what?
Now, in Griffith's case, first we have to assess the value of that connection before explaining how we are able to achieve that connection. But in terms of value, the reason why Griffith would hesitate was because that connection, the rarity, thus gave it value. That value was it may have been small, but it may have been immensely small compared to the grand idea of creating his own kingdom to him, but it was still comparable. It was still comparable. It was still a comparable value. That's the only reason why Griffith would hesitate, because if, let's just say, someone offered him a piece of a diamond to ask him to stop, would he have stopped? No. But if you gave him the power of a god, would he have stopped? 100%, of course. Because then he would be able to do whatever he wanted. He would even, I would go so far to say he would abandon his goal in order to achieve that, in order to obtain that reward. So the only way that you can, because we all live in Griffith, in Berserk, and that the other book I was talking about, they don't exist on, they're all mortals, but they exist, they're not reality. The truth is, we all exist on a mortal plane. None of us can become gods, right? None of us, maybe there might be a human out there who might become immortal one day through genetics or through one way or another, but we all, at least in today's current society and for thousands and tens of thousands of years since humans have been born, humans are not immortal. We live on a mortal plane, which means the greatest value of our greatest ambitions, they
I would say our greatest value is our time.
I wouldn't. Our greatest value is what we leave behind, because that can be immortal. Your legacy can be immortal.
No, it can't.
It can, but it can last longer than you.
But how much emphasis are you going to put on what's left behind rather than what you have right now? Because who cares what you leave behind? In my opinion, I strive to make the most of whatever I have right now. I could care less about a legacy, because what am I going to do with people remembering me?
There's a quote from somebody.
Kanye.
I don't know if it was from Kanye or not.
I think I might know it.
Someone is only truly dead when the last person forgets their name. So I guess that comes from a deep, because
that isn't Kanye.
Yeah. So that's just to say that a person's value, not a person's value, but that's also a different perspective. People like you, Giovanni, believe that
Giovanni.
Giovanni. Am I saying it right?
Giovanni.
Yes. Okay, Giovanni.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Giovanni, I guess that's what most people would in quotation marks, normal people, however you would define that, would choose to live their life in the present. That's in essence what you're saying. You would want to live in the present, and what goes on beyond your life would have no meaning.
Yeah, I mean, because to me, when you're dead, you're dead. What are you going to do? You're not gonna have like some out of body experience, and then like look at yourself and be like, oh, well that that matters to me, or like, oh, that matters to me. The connections that we make in life honestly don't really matter, but they feel good in the moment. So you might as well really take in what feels good in the moment, the connections or whatever. It doesn't really matter about, you could have a legacy, and some people will have a legacy, but after 100 years, after 200 years, after 300 years, I guess you're finally going to be dead. But I mean, what does it really matter?
Just because someone dies doesn't mean their value is extinguished.
Mm-hmm. So you think it's all about value?
No, I wouldn't say it. Because you're like, anything that happens beyond the scope of my life, it gives me zero. I couldn't care less, because those things have no value because you're not experiencing them, right?
Yeah, I mean, do you think different?
I mean, I would believe that just because my ancestors, their value was producing the living, which is just me, and then my value is producing a when I mean legacy, I mean children, because
Mm-hmm.
I would now I'm thinking about it, even the human species won't survive forever. Even the human species will die out one day. So, but
I mean, yeah, the way that I look at it is that human species will die one day, you will die one day, and that day could be any day. So live your life as much as you can. I'm not saying, honestly, whenever I say live in the moment, it doesn't mean don't plan for the future or don't plan for something better for yourself later. It's more of live in the moment. What living in the moment means to me is be content. Be content with what you have, instead of, oh, it could be better, or oh, it could be worse, oh, it could be better, oh, it could be worse. Or thinking about the past so much, like, oh, why did I do that to that person, or why did I say that to that person?
live in regret.
Yeah, living in regret is one of the
I was
biggest
about to
effects
say that. So, we're both, it might seem counterintuitive, but we're both saying the same thing, that everything beyond,
For the people in the back that don't know what intuitive means, can you?
counterintuitive means
Counterintuitive, yeah.
counterintuitive. How do you explain intuitive? Intuitive means
Oh, you can just search it up.
yeah.
Google always has the best explanations.
I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah. I mean, some things you just can't explain. You just let other things explain it, whether it be like a teacher
Shitty
or
internet.
Google or
Okay.
Safari.
It's using or based on one's feels to be true, even without reasoning, instinctive. Okay, so where was I? It might seem counterintuitive that we're both saying the same thing, but in essence we're saying the same thing. That it's just that your goal is to live your life to the fullest.
With no regrets.
Exactly, right? And my goal is to create a legacy. Now, on a long enough time period,
An empire.
On a long enough time period, both of our goals, because we live in a mortal plane, they're both irrelevant, right? But the thing is that if you are focused on your one perceived goal, then no matter what day you die, or no no matter what day you die or what year you die, or whether you're injured, paralyzed, uh, you can die in peace. Basically, you can die in peace if you spend every day working toward your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, working toward my goal would involve planning for devoting myself to my future self. But for him,
let me actually say my goal. My goal is to live knowing that everything that happens is happening exactly how it's supposed to happen. Whatever I said to them is what I said to them, and I'm not going to regret it, because what is the point of me regretting that? Or what is the point of me either thinking so far into the future or thinking so far into the past, or even the past in general? I think there's a quote that I really like, and it says, "We only meditate or think about the past whenever we don't want to recreate it." And it's beautiful that they say that, because meditation is thinking about something calmly.
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius?
No, not that one.
Oh.
Just meditation in general.
Okay.
But what a lot of people do is that they focus on it. They focus on the past. They regret. And that's my goal. My goal is to not regret and to be at peace with myself. And, in my opinion, I've already made my goal, and I've already achieved my goal. And so I think that's why I'm content with, dying. I'm content if I died today, yesterday, even the day before. That's my goal. Just to be at peace.
There's a saying, death is at least for the people who have goals similar to mine, or in reality any other goals other than a variation of yours, is that death is the greatest motivator.
I would honestly say it really is. It really is. Because it's the only thing that's guaranteed in your life. Other than, your life.
Knowing that you won't exist one day
is beautiful, in my opinion.
It's beautiful, but it terrifies you to the point where the things holding you back from your goal are simply just
meaningless.
Just water under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's meaningless, because in face of death, if you died tomorrow, would you care that this is a generic thing, but would you care what other people thought? No, you wouldn't care at all. The only thing what you would really care about is your goal, is your aspirations. So that's what everyone should be aspiring towards.
I feel like so many people get so caught up in other people's idea of them, or the other people's opinions, that they forget their own goal. And those are the people that, when you ask them, would you be content if you died today? They say no. They say no because they don't know their goal. Because they're thinking of, what does my peer think of me? What does my mom think of me? What does my dad think of me?
What does society think of you?
Exactly. And they think about that so much that they don't even have a goal. And in that not having a goal, you wake up every day and you're scared. You're scared of death. And you're scared of the society that has showed you that you're not perfect in their eyes. And all of that stuff is so meaningless. And they only realize it when they're at the end of their life. They're like, dang, I should have lived my life more. And that's one of the saddest things to hear, because you realize their values were completely they didn't make any sense. Their values didn't make any sense.
In a societal context, if you had, obviously people, while it may be beneficial on each individual level for a person, like for me as an individual, it's beneficial for me to not care what society thinks, and to and to separate myself from the herd. But from a society's perspective, if everyone separated themselves from the herd, what would be left? Society, there wouldn't be
a society.
There wouldn't be a society per se,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of gold. That's the large reason why society is constructed in a way where your aspirations are snuffed, because that's the way you can be most beneficial to society if you stay with the herd. So that's I guess it's kind of political, also societal perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to expand on that, because if you're at least let's just say for me, if everyone, a businessman, right? If everyone did, most people aspire to be, one of their aspirations is to be wealthy. For most people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everyone's like, that's one of the core pillars of success, right? To be wealthy. So, but if everyone went out there starting businesses, then who would be the employees? There wouldn't be any employees. There's no, because for business to work, there has to be, for current businesses to work, there has to be employees, and then there has to be the business creator, right? So, and that's the way society works better in groups of people. If everyone is their own group, if everyone is their own side, then
No, I mean, that's society in a whole, just a group of people.
yeah, no. What I mean is, let's just say there's, from a political perspective.
Oh wait, did that sound rude? Like, oh, well, obviously that's what society is, a group. I didn't mean to say it like that. If that's how it came out.
No, it's fine. If we were looking from a political perspective, there would be no agreement, no progress in pretty much any in any laws and any policies if everyone was their own political party.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why, I mean, as much as there are people who say that dividing yourselves into two political parties, at least in America, Democratic and Republican, they divide the country, which is completely true. That is 100% true. But is dividing the country in two better than dividing the country into, how many people are there in the United States? 300 million? Around 300 million. So,
Yeah.
330 million. 330
just
million.
search it up.
would it be better? It's probably better for society to be divided into two sides rather than 330 million sides, because that really just goes to show that do you place your own aspirations above what society, what's cohesive to a good society? Do you wish to be the ideal? Do you wish to be the ideal version of yourself, or the ideal version of yourself for society, or the ideal societal version?
I love that. Because you ask people that, and they'll literally just be like, "Oh, well, obviously society, because society will help me more, or whatever," or they will say the best version of myself, but in reality, they will always strive for whatever people agree on, or they'll strive for whatever people like them the most for. It's really sad.
That's completely true, because most aspirations come from society. Because why do people work so hard for in a 9 to 5 for a job to, let's just say, earn 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures? What makes them work so hard to chase the dollar?
The American dream.
Yeah, I guess it's society's will saying money is of great importance.
Mm-hmm.
But on an individual level, most people will probably be content working like $30,000, $40,000 job. No, it's just that society pushes people to
work more.
exactly to work to chase the dollar, which in society's case is beneficial because it produces a productive society where people
Doesn't work.
invest their time into a
I feel like society is so based off of working because it's built by business people. Because the only things that you see on the social media, on news, is the people that are paid to be there or the people that paid to be there. And so the people that are making money are taking your time to make you work more so that they can have more money and so that they can just continue to spread this idea that if you work more and more and more and more, get all this money, then you will be set. But you'll be miserable. And that's the reality of it. You're miserable if you work constantly. It's just crazy.
That's why aspirations are. That's why you have to. Do you place value on money? This is a question for audience back at home. Do you place value on money because you can buy what you want with it? Because it gets you closer to your one true goal?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you place value on money because everyone places value on money?
Are you thinking for yourself? Are you letting society think for you? Some cool stuff right there. You know, it's crazy. I sent you all those questions and we didn't answer a single one.
Yeah.
I think let's answer one.
Yeah, let's pull them up.
So we are at an hour, 1 minute, almost 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So let's just answer one question.
How long did you want to go for past an hour?
I think just the same as last time.
An hour and 30.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's see. It's like we're spinning a wheel.
I think that's how you spin a wheel.
Yeah. Why do we dream?
I mean, you can take a much more scientific approach to it, or you can take a
psychological or physiological?
Psychological or
philosophical.
Or you can take a philosophical approach to it, or you can take a scientific approach to it. A scientific approach is actually I'm not too versed in dreaming, but I would.
Well, I am. Took psychology. Now I'm taking psychology right now, and they're talking about dreaming, and they literally just haven't come up with it. They study dreaming and they research it, and they just basically, long story short, they have no idea why we dream. It's so funny.
From my understanding, we dream because obviously you dream in your REM sleep, which is the deepest state of sleep. So
second deepest.
Second deepest? No.
It goes N1 into it goes N1 into REM sleep and then N3. Okay. And that's the deepest. Deep sleep. Did you know old people, the older you get, the less deep, good sleep you'll get?
I wonder.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask my professor about that. Why do we sleep less peacefully at an older age? I think it's because of the stress that a lot of older people go through. Because they have the job.
Women sleep less peacefully. Like they're not able to. No. What do you mean they're not able to sleep less peacefully? Are you saying that they enter more turbulent dreams? Are you saying that they are not able to?
Oh, no. I mean, so how young adults are, and under the age of, I'd say 40, we go through N1 and 2 REM sleep and then N3 a lot more frequently than, people past 40 will. They usually only go like N1 and 2, wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, or they go into REM sleep, which is dreaming or whatever.
Sure, I'll wake up in the middle of the night.
But, you don't always have to dream just to get some good sleep. But what I was trying to say was that their frequency of good sleep kind of doesn't really go really good. Good meaning N3. which is the deepest part. They usually just go in between N1 and N2 in REM sleep, kind of.
If I were to put it, it's completely theoretical. I have zero idea if this is true, but maybe we dream because the mental energy we have during the day is not completely exhausted. Because obviously, you get good sleep if you're physically exhausted, right?
Yeah.
But let's just say you're completely, absolutely mentally cooked from doing an assignment or from studying people. Okay. Then
Video games. Anything really.
Sleep. The main purpose is to is to recharge the batteries, as people say. If your battery is already at the max, then that excess is going to be turned into into thoughts and wills. I don't know why I said wills, but it turns into thoughts, which turns into dreams.
I can understand why you said wills, because it's your will, your ability to do something, or your want to do something. It's your will.
Yeah. But dreams mostly come from the subconscious, unresolved. It comes from the subconscious. You're not conscious, right? So.
Why do you think we have nightmares? Scientifically, people say that we have nightmares because of the high sugar levels in our body. Whenever you intake high sugar, or whenever you intake sugar right before you sleep, you're more likely to have a nightmare. But why do you think we have nightmares?
Because so you said sugar, right? So obviously the sugar, it elevates your mental. I would assume it would make it harder to suppress your mental state. That's the right term. It would make it harder to suppress your mental state. So if you have more energy, I mean, if your mind is not being suppressed whenever you're sleeping, because your body releases a certain chemical. I have zero idea. I'm completely unwarranted in this subject.
Yeah.
But your body releases a certain chemical in order to freeze, to prevent your body from sleepwalking. Yeah. So I'm assuming that the sugar levels they make it harder for your mind's energy to be suppressed, which would cause dreams, right? Why would it cause nightmares? I guess nightmares.
I feel like they also come from our subconscious. I think a lot of people don't realize how fast your mind thinks. Your mind can already come up with ideas and thoughts and thought patterns or anything like that in a split matter of seconds. And that's why if I were able to toss this to you, if I tossed this at you, what would you do? Would you try to catch it, or would you just let it fall?
I would let it fall because I'm kind of slow.
On purpose? Would you let it fall on purpose or on accident?
That's a good question, because you see it coming, right? You're not completely unaware.
And in a split, people don't realize this, but in a split second, you already know the consequences.
You made the decision.
You made the decision. You're thinking about it. You're thinking, should I really do this? You're thinking about the consequences. You're thinking about the benefits. Split second. Yeah, thank you for that. But all in a split second. And people act like their mind is so slow. It's more of decision making.
Yeah, in using the example. Oh shit. Whoops. I'll give it. If I threw this to, let's say Giovanni threw this to me. Giovanni. I don't know why I said that. I don't know. I'm just getting. I'm messing you up with a JoJo character.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you were messing me up with Brian, because his first name is Giovanni.
No. Okay, so Giovanni.
Giovanni, whatever.
Yeah, so Giovanni, if he were to throw this to me, I would have seen this and I would have made a decision. Should I not catch it because my reaction skills are terrible, and should I just let it fall and not embarrass myself, or should I try and catch it, and then maybe embarrass myself?
Mm-hmm.
So,
But what about
you make that decision in a second.
what about catching it would be embarrassing?
Well, catching. Well, let's say if you caught it, you succeeded, right?
Uh-huh.
What I'm saying, the embarrassment comes from if you're trying to catch it and you fail. Like, come on, bro. That's like literally like 2 feet and you still like, in.
You like just didn't even catch it.
Yeah.
What do you think about? So I came up with this idea, this quote, if you will, and the quote is that nothing is embarrassed. It's only you that is embarrassed. Nothing is embarrassing. It's only you that is embarrassed. Do you think that things are inherently embarrassing, or do you think it's only based upon the person?
Completely based on the person,
Mm-hmm.
because if there are people who can do quote unquote embarrassing things or
And like run around Walmart naked or something like
yeah.
that.
Okay, that's why we have to. That's the reason for what was the word?
Devious.
No. There's a word for it. You know, like the word.
There's a word for somebody running around.
No. There's a word for something that prevents that, right? Prevents socially awkward acts.
Shame.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
guess
say
you said-
shame.
yeah. So it's like social. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, social anxiety.
Yeah. I would not have caught that, but that's a good thing you remembered. So yeah,
'Cause
social.
I suffered from that.
Yeah, social anxiety. So that's honestly the reason why social anxiety exists. So people don't go running around in Walmart naked. Because if it did, I remember my friend told me like, hey, like I want to like stand up on my desk and like just start screaming, and then but then social anxiety is stopping me. I'm like, yo, that's valid.
Sometimes social anxiety is a good thing.
Yeah,
But most of the time it
but
just
social
saves me.
anxiety is it's the cause of embarrassment, right? So, but it's completely based on a person, because people can do different things and not get embarrassed, which it also just comes to play that, so what if people say it's embarrassing what you did? And does it, do you think what you did was wrong? If reviewing the situation, would you have made a different decision?
Mm-hmm.
If you would have made a different decision, then so be it. You would have made a different decision. Now you know that you made the wrong decision. If you made the right, it's like Giovanni said. It's useless to live in the past. There's no reason to be embarrassed over past events, but it's completely based on the person, because there's someone in your exact situation who could completely
Not care
at
at all.
And in most cases, that person who doesn't care
Is happy.
they're better off.
They're usually happier. You see that most of the people that don't care about stuff, they're usually seen as happier or more upbeat, because they just don't care. They don't care enough to be negative. You know
Even
what I mean?
in sports, let's say, I think that's true, because people who don't, not that they don't care about anything, but they don't care about other people's opinions or their own performance, that they're the most happiest. But even in sports, that's another case where this is true, because I don't know why Steph Curry came into my mind, but let's just say a basketball player.
Yeah.
Basketball players of any athletes, they play better when they don't care, because I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but they're able to, when all the emotions are kind of like left from their body is able to just rely on their own muscle memory, which I don't know, I'm just talking on my ass.
So what I was actually going to say about that is that whenever they play better because they don't care, that's something that athletes call the flow state, because they're just flowing. Their arms are moving.
From
they're
the
moving
muscle
the
memory.
basketball. It's just They don't care about like, oh, the defender might steal it or oh, the defender might block it. They're just flowing. They're just playing the game, and they're really enjoying it. They're basically just feeling themselves.
They're separated from the result.
Mm-hmm.
That's what allows people to play their best.
That's a really good insight about that. They're separating themselves from the result.
I think that can be said for life too.
Mm-hmm.
If you're, I don't know, if you're,
I feel like for life, it's better.
It's a little different.
Because the result for a lot of people is just death. It's like, what do you mean by result? Do you mean death or like a goal?
Yeah, I'm talking about goals. But if you don't care about your goals, then because life is more complex than a game or anything like. Because in a game, your course of action is going to be the same,
No matter what.
regardless of whether you care or not. You're in basketball. You're trying to score points, throw the ball in the hoop.
Mm-hmm.
So your course of action is the same regardless of whether you care or not. Maybe your strategy is different, but whether you care or not. In life, it's a little different because if you don't care, then you have no path to take. But if you care, you're able to. It's diverging paths.
I feel like it's more of just perspective. I mean, if you don't care, your life is still going to be on the same path. You have a path in life, and no matter if you care or not, you're going to live exactly how you're supposed to live. Do you believe in destiny?
I feel like it's
hard to say.
No, that's hard to say. Yeah, I feel like it's for people who aspire to be something. No offense, Giovanni.
Mm-hmm.
No offense. Completely. I'm not trying to attack anyone here, but
after this, I'm going to take offense.
For people who are trying to, I guess, evolve. Right? That's a better way to put it. For people who are trying to evolve, believing in destiny it's counterintuitive. It's not beneficial because a destiny for poor, let's say Mike Tyson, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was his destiny? If you looked at him when he was young, he wouldn't say his destiny was to become the greatest boxer. I mean, actually, I'm not too well versed in boxing. I'm not sure. Or one of the best boxers, one of the greats. But you wouldn't say that his destiny would be to become the greatest boxer.
Because it's whatever. I'd say destiny is whatever happens.
But if you believe in destiny from the very moment, then you kind of take everything out of your hands, and it kind of opens up that excuse that it was meant to happen. If you lose, if you don't win, you can just say you weren't destined. It takes away any of the drive or any of the desire to achieve your goals, because then it's destiny, right? So it's gonna happen regardless of whether you try or not.
How I see oh no, my stuff fell off. I was gonna say how I see destiny is that it is supposed to happen, but it's your job to learn from that. You learn from a loss, you learn from a setback, or you learn from even something positive that happened. You learn from a girl accepting your invitation to a date. Destiny isn't bad, you know? It's not something you're not given. You don't come into this world accepting a destiny. You come into this world to live out your destiny.
No, say that again.
You don't come into this world accepting a destiny, striving for a destiny, like, to become the greatest boxer or to do this and this. You come into this world to live a destiny, because at the end of your life, you'll realize everything happened for a reason, because if it didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened. Or if it didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened. And because of that, I learned that, and I was able to be a better person.
I think that's just the nature of life when it's just spontaneous. I think a better way to look at destiny is destiny is your because your idea of destiny comes from God, right? That there's always a plan. God is the plan, right?
Yeah, God's plan.
Okay, so
God's plan.
yeah, so God's plan, the way I view it is, I went to a Rise event last
Oh yeah, because
year.
you're Hindu.
No.
So it's a lot different. Whenever
Yeah,
I
no.
start talking about God, it's like, oh.
No, I still get what
Well,
you're
here
saying.
this guy goes again.
So, in this event last year, it was November 14th in somewhere in Houston. I forgot, the Woodlands or somewhere. Arise. So basically, David Goggins came to that event. He talked. Obviously, I wasn't in the front rows. I was in the back rows, right? But David Goggins came to talk, right? And what he said was that when God has a list of what all things you're supposed to be, that is your destiny. But whenever you die and you go to heaven or whatever relative place you believe in, it's are you gonna be all the things that God wrote on his paper? Are you gonna?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Are you not gonna be the things that you wrote on paper? Are you not gonna live up to your destiny?
Oh, I think he said, or are you going to look at that paper and you're going to be like, oh, that's not me. I wasn't supposed to be that, or I wasn't supposed to do that. Run 300 miles in a day. Oh, that's not me. I wasn't supposed to do that. And I think he said something about like he had a dream.
Yeah, no, what he said was that when he finally meets God is gonna look at his paper and gonna be like, and there's gonna be a blank, and that blank, and then David Goggins is gonna ask God, what does that blank mean? And then God has said, even I didn't know what motherfucker you become. So
That's funny.
yeah. So I mean, if you believe in, not if you believe in destiny, but if you,
I feel like if you believe in a false destiny, you won't live up to your real destiny. Like if you believe that you're going to be a millionaire, are you really going to be a millionaire because you believe so? Or is it your destiny to become one? And it's just a coincidence that you think it is.
I'm having a little hard time comprehending it, because destiny, believing in,
Who you're
okay,
supposed to be.
there's two ways to go about it. One, you can believe in your own destiny, but you're still striving to complete your destiny, to fulfill your destiny. Or there's another way where you just, oh, it's my destiny. Or well, let's say someone was born into a rich family and then let's say someone was born into a rich family and let's just say, and then they're gonna inherit their dad's company. They can say, hey, it was my destiny to inherit my dad's company. I can do whatever. It's my destiny to inherit my dad's company. I can screw around all I want. That's my destiny, right? So I feel like if you do believe in destiny, you have to believe that there's a way that you don't live out your full potential. That there's a possibility that you don't live out your full potential. Because if you don't, then if you don't believe that, then you won't be able. Then you won't have the drive. Any type of fire that you have won't exist. The fire can't exist in a vacuum. And
what does it mean by in a vacuum? I hear people say that so much, but they never just say it in a more...
Okay, a vacuum refers to because in a vacuum there's no oxygen. When there's no oxygen, a fire can't burn because fire
needs oxygen.
Fire needs oxygen to burn, right? So in this example, if you believe that everything no matter what you do, everything's just gonna turn out the way it's supposed to. Right? People believe in destiny is a hope for a better way, but I'll explain it 2 ways. I'll explain that later. But
I would say I believe in destiny, but not as a hope, but as a endpoint. Like I get to believe in destiny, and that doesn't mean like I'm hoping for a better future or a better tomorrow. It's more of like this is God's plan and this is how it's supposed to happen. And so my only choice in the matter is to either understand it or either complain about it. And I'm going to try to understand why this is happening to me.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that there's two people. Let's say you're in an apartment, and you're debt. You have debt. You have student debt. You
just broke.
You bro. You work a 9 to 5. You eat noodles every day. You
have a dog that barely gets fed.
Yeah, you're
struggling.
You're struggling, right? If there are two ways to go about believing in destiny. You could one say, hey, this is a part of God's plan. I'm gonna get out of here one day, or you can be like, hey, this is God's plan. I'm never getting out of here. So one, and then there's two ways, and then there's two subcategories in each category. There's the category of, let's say, believe it's God's plan to get me out of here. Does God want me to work, or does God want me to just not work and maybe I'll win the lottery, or that same? And then if you're bad, if you're in that shitty situation and then you believe it's God's will to stay you there, then should I just stop trying and kill myself, or should I just continue living because that's my destiny? So I feel like believing in destiny serves the purpose of knowing that you have brighter days ahead of you. It serves as kind of a light in the dark. But if the end point is darkness, then can a human really accept that destiny? If the end point is darkness?
That is a really good question. And I mean, personally, I would accept it. Because one of my biggest dreams, whenever I was a little kid, was to, one of my biggest dreams whenever I was a little kid, was to live in, the darkness, the void, whatever you call it. Because I just I didn't want to be anywhere. I didn't want to be anyone, or I didn't want to be anything. But I see now that my destiny was to be here instead of over there in the darkness, or however it may be. And I don't know, for me, I try to live every day like it's my last. Completely normal, exactly how I would have lived it yesterday or the day after. Just, you know what I mean? I don't try to put any specific value on anything. Not even really my birthday, people put a lot of value on birthdays. It's just another day.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, we have 2 minutes left until 1 hour and 30 minutes, and my microphones are probably dying. Any last words for the viewers?
No, my only advice is action trumps all. You have to take action if you want to be somewhere. And even if you desire to be something, it means shit. So my advice is, remember what
I think you forgot to say, if you don't take action.
Yeah. My advice is that you should always remember, relative to somebody else, you're literally like a shit stain. So
okay.
So you should always everything's relative. You are not at your peak. You're not good. And with that mentality, you can truly make exponential progress.
My advice would be to live in the moment, not to forget about your future or forget about the past, but don't focus on it so much that it comes at the cost of your own peace right now. Because if you regret the past, it'll take away today's peace, and then you can't even plan for a better future or a better tomorrow. With that being said, this is the Talkable Topics podcast, and I had an amazing time as you as my guest. We talked very, very eloquently, very, very elevated. I don't really know. I guess we just wave. I never really know how to end these type of things.
Thank you for having me on here.
Yes. Oh. We end up with a fist bump. Yeah. Okay. I wonder if my phone's burning.